This is the week we celebrate Labor Day. Labor Day began in 1882, before I was born, if you can imagine it. It was proposed by a man named Matthew McGuire, a machinist, who was secretary of the Central Labor Union in New York City. It was called a working man's holiday when it first began, which causes me to think, what about this work business? I hear about some people who just can't wait to retire and work no more. Instead, just waste time doing 1,000 things that have no eternal value to them. Some people have the idea that work is a result of Adam's sin in the Garden of Eden. But did you know that Adam worked before he sinned? God tells us that in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 15. So work is not a curse, it is a blessing. It is true that God put a curse on creation because of Adam's sin, but that doesn't mean that work is a sin. It just means that work will be a little more difficult, a little harder, so that we earn our bread by the sweat of our brow. But the work part is still a blessing. The most wonderful thing a person can do is to be productive, especially in the things of God, the works of God. And every believer can do that. Which brings me to say that all work is a gift from God. So forget the idea of retiring and sitting at home looking wise. You know what? You didn't get the idea of retiring from God. You got it from the politicians. Of course, there are many who are infirm and handicapped and they can't be out and about. But everyone can pray and witness to the wonderful saving power of Jesus Christ. But to the able-bodied, remember when Jesus called us, He called us to give our life. Not 20 years and then sign off so we can goof off. Jesus wants all of our life as long as we live. That's why we have life. That is to serve Him. Jesus calls the young to serve, that's true, but He also calls the old people to serve also. Listen to what the psalmist said in Psalm 92 verse 14. They shall bring forth fruit in old age. Old age, what does that mean? Stop at 65? Lord have mercy. Some people don't get started until they're already 65. You know what the Bible teaches? It teaches us we're to work as long as we live, because that's why we live, to work for our Lord. No matter how old a person may be, he or she can pray and witness and shine for Jesus. You may not be able to be up and about, but you can be about the Father's business, and that's why He gives us life. There's work for you, there's work for me, and work to do for Him. And the beautiful part of it all is we will always succeed in our labors for Christ. God has promised in His Word that His will always be done and His Word will always be accomplished, and wherever He sends it, whatever He wants it to do. He tells us, He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. Psalm 126, verse 6. Labor Day, great. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate by getting to work. Heavenly Father, thank You that we can, all of us, if we have life, there's something for us to do. Help us to do it joyfully. In Jesus' name, amen.